Right, let's not use up our juice and let's be straight on.
Preserve the juice.
Hello, welcome back.
You've changed space. Your camera looks dodgy to me.
Yeah, you're fluid. What's going on?
It's okay though.
No, it's not. It's not
your
dirty.
internet. Your internet, I mean.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You sound okay.
Yeah, are you on Wi-Fi or plugged in?
I've been Wi-Fi-ing this whole time.
It's fine. It's okay. Just a little bit blurry, not too bad.
Right. It's just a bit pixelated image. We don't need to see it.
Yeah, I had to move because first podcast or episode 20, whatever it was, 5. But yeah, I had to move places because obviously the first one had a little red-headed intruder, and then this time a heavily pregnant lady came in and told me to get out of a bedroom.
Yeah, quite right.
So yeah,
Fair enough, mate. That's okay.
Oh dear, what you done, Gregor?
I got.
What's that?
Gregor spilt something.
Bear with me. I'm gonna get
Oh shit!
I thought Gregor,
Tech support.
he should have gone to the toilet when he had the chance. You know what I mean? Pissing over the keyboard.
Oh, good. Let's crack on. I need to think of a name for this one, though.
Ben Romac.
Ben
Romac.
Hang on. So wait, have you all got a dram of note?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So wait, so we've had Dramface returns, a new
Well,
dram.
we didn't. It didn't really though. The Dramface strikes back again. That's going to be the one because we didn't.
I just want to try and keep it Star Wars.
Oh no, it is. It is.
A new dram.
So good.
New dram. New Dramface, same old shite.
Perfect.
You don't say much, Monroe, but when you say it, it's distinct.
Right, it's good. You're in good spirits. Right, here we go. Hello, Dramfacers. Welcome to episode 26 of the Dramface podcast, officially titled Dramface Strikes Back Again. I say again because we didn't actually touch on Dramface in the last episode. Today I'm joined by Rob, Roy, Scott and Gordon. Hello, how are we all?
Better now.
Hello there.
We're good.
Yep.
We're good. We're much better than last week.
Yep, much better.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
More refreshed.
I know.
How are you, Gregor?
Exactly. I'm good. Thanks for asking, Scott.
You're welcome.
Now, I did give you all a brief on this one for a round table of drams, and the brief was, much like the theme is, kind of a catch-up. I was curious to see or hear from you as to what dram of note sticks with you right now to date between the last podcast and this. And that is not to say, it had to have been released between then and now, just more what you've experienced between then and now. And I'll go first just to kick us off. One of the bottles that came back with me from when I was back home that I was excited about, and I keep going back to, and it's probably getting rinsed the fastest I've known a bottle from being opened, is this. It's a James Eady Glen Ord 9-year-old, and as you can tell by the colour, it's seen quite a bit of Oloroso. It was bottle number 461 of 575, in case you were curious.
Nice.
57.3%, and it was finished in Oloroso for 17 months.
Okay.
And it's tremendous for 9-year-old, and it's my first Glen Ord. Not probably the best representation of it, but my first Glen Ord.
Nice.
That sounds
Glen
great.
Ord's a
Nice one.
sleeper.
Oh, it's great. And it delivers all the sherriness that I ever need.
All the ticks.
Nice one. That sounds good,
It's
man.
fantastic.
Very good.
Gordon, what?
Yes,
No,
sir.
no, actually, don't. No.
Oh,
I want to come to you last because I know what's in your glass and I want to finish on that one.
okay.
Rob, what's in your glass?
Well, I was going to pick something from Glasgow Whisky Festival. It was a fragrant drops. It was a bottle split with the English Iron and Scotsman. It was the Ardmore. Well, sorry, I say it was going to be. It was going to be the Ardmore Dark Rum.
Oh, what a
But
bottle.
you know what? It was it's a belter. But after last week, I thought, well, maybe I should cancel the bottle ban and buy something.
That lasted long.
So since last week, since last week, I fulfilled some VPub and Dramface FOMO and grabbed my. I had my eye on this for a while actually. The contrasts organic, but then I also got the vintage Ben Romack. It's actually 2012 batch one.
Okay.
Well, I know that the review was 2013, but I actually took the 2010 batch one to Isla and
Oh, Ben Romack cast strength.
sorry, yeah, Ben Romack cast strength,
Yes.
2012. But yeah, so I had the 2010 batch one, and that was an absolute stoter. And
Brilliant, man.
I had to revisit it, and Dramface kind of spurred me on.
I've had
Yeah,
one
nice
Ben
one, man.
Romack, and it was the Abbey Whiskey one.
Light suit,
The
mate.
Light suit, Scotty.
So someone reviewed that in Dramface, and
Aye.
midway through reading it, I opened up another tab and I bought that bad boy, and it's now gone.
It is,
And
mine's
it's
still
a
going to.
cracker. Yeah. What a
So
whiskey. That's the best. That's the best Ben Romack I've ever had. That
To
Abbey
reference,
whiskey.
actually, to keep with Ben Romack, I'm referencing last episode, Paul from the Bon Accord. My first single cask was the one that he helped bottle, and I got that for my missus bought that for me for my 30th. I might have said this before actually, but bought it for my 30th birthday, and I eked that out so much. And when we found out that we lost him, that was my final pour, and it was
Nice one, mate. That's great.
it was super special. He was actually the first person who spoke to me in Glasgow and gave me a whistle stop tour of the Bon Accord as well. Lovely bloke.
That's lovely, Rob. I think that's really nice, man. I think that's a nice sentiment as well, man.
Mm-hmm.
Scotty, what's in your glass?
Right, so I've gone for something that you can't get anymore, right? Because it's the only bottle of whiskey I've bought this year, right? It goes back to what we've been talking about before, about maybe looking after our pennies a little bit more, just kind of reining it in a wee bit. But it also reflects on what Roy was talking about in the last episode when Roy was talking about picking up that Brookladdie 18 for 150 quid. So every year I save up a bit of money and I try and push the boat out for my birthday, which is in January.
Happy birthday.
And I try and buy something quite So auction wise, you guys know I love Clynelish, I love Longmorn, and you know I love Imperial. Sadly, the prices of all three are just going crazy now. Imperial, so I pushed the boat out and I bought this. It's from Van Wees. It's the Ultimate range. It's a 1995 Imperial.
wow.
Oh, nice.
It's a 19-year-old. It was distilled in August of 95 and it was bottled in February 2015. Bottle 32 of 301, 46%. It is the best. I've only had, as you can see, I've not had a massive amount. I opened at my birthday last month. It's the best Imperial I've had so far.
Oh wow!
It's an absolute stoter. So it's
That's under the shoulder now. When did you open that?
opened it in end of January. So
Okay.
I've had a few
Yeah.
drams plus quite a
Yeah.
healthy pour right now.
Oh.
If you know what I mean. But it's just hogshead, 19 years. Not much more information than that. But natural colour, non-chill filtered is all Van Wee stuff. Obviously, a Dutch independent bottler. They're not freely available in the UK generally, I don't think. But this was an auction purchase, and I pushed the boat out a wee bit on it. Spent more than I should have done, but I wanted it. But it's that classic Imperial. The way I describe Imperial when it's just been not messed around with. It's got that kind of. Do you remember vanilla Edinburgh Rock? That kind of crumbly, chalky.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's got that on the nose and on the palate, but then the fruits come right after it. Now, you could argue that it could be higher ABV, but actually 46% works really well with it. It works perfectly. So it cost me, I got it for 180 quid at auction.
Wow.
But I'm thinking about, well, it's a special bottle. It's 19-year-old Imperial for 180 quid. you might be hard pressed to pay that again for it, or for Imperials of that age or more. They kind of go for the prices rising all the time because it's obviously demolished up in Speyside. So that's what I've got, and that's the bottle. The only one I've bought this year, but it's the bottle that I've just thought it's magic, and I'm just trying to take small pours out of it and try and keep this one for as long as I can. So it's an absolute cracker.
Sounds amazing.
I'll get you some wee samples in the go. Don't you worry.
5 mil. 5 mil samples. Thank you.
I don't do less than 10 to be honest, Gordon. Right.
You mean 5 CL? 5 CL?
No, 5 mil.
Oh, teaspoons. Right, okay.
Scotty, out of curiosity, as you say you're going to nurse that bottle, do you decant special bottles, or do you enjoy it as it develops?
Nah, I just let it do its thing. I talked before about the 35-year-old brewer that I had. That was open for 3 years, and I didn't gas it, I didn't decant it in a smaller bottle. I just let it do its thing, and right at the end of its life, it still tasted magic, right? So 3 years hadn't diminished it, even though it was down and about an inch and a half or less than an inch. It was still perfect. I've never had any issues before. I've had a bottle before, the 3-year-old deluxe compass box. I think I had that open for 7 years. No, maybe not as long as that. Maybe it was only 5. But again, didn't touch it, and that was I'd buy that again in a heartbeat if I could get it for a good price. And to me, it didn't change it at all. It might have softened it a little bit, but it never went flat or anything like that. So
let the whiskey sing.
I fully agree.
Yep.
Fully agree.
Stop fiddling with it. Just let it go.
Totally. Yeah. Because I think
how it changes.
I think just as a general point as well, that I've kept samples before of bottles I've really enjoyed. I don't tend to do it anymore really, because I just end up just drinking the bottles. But I quite like seeing how it progresses and how it changes as it goes down. Nothing I've had has ever felt flat or off, or it's, I guess ABV plays a part. I mean, this is 46%, so maybe it wouldn't stand up. You just never know, but that's part of the enjoyment to me. You buy it, you drink it, over a course of a year or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, and you see if it changes. But no, I'm not going to decant anything. I'm just going to just enjoy the experience as it goes,
I was going to ask, I wondered if you still did the sample, taking a sample, I don't know the best way of describing it, but when it gets to a good point, you take a sample of it. It's like getting a cask, isn't it? And figure, that was a good point. Let's take it, because I still do that. A bit rarely, more rarely than I used to, but I do think it's snapshots.
Isn't that assuming that the whiskey does not continue to do anything when it's in a smaller bottle?
Well, I think if you fill it to the right to the top,
but does it not just continue to do the thing? Because I did a wee test with Kilkerran, and it made not a jot of difference.
Yeah, I mean, so when I was taking snapshots of whiskey I ended up with just too many miniatures. It was ridiculous. I thought I need to stop doing this nowadays, So I stopped doing samples because I had too many miniatures and too many. I just had no space for them, and I was never going to get to drinking them all, so I just stopped it. So what I've been doing is I've been going through some of my samples and having a wee sample night on a Friday night, and just quite enjoying a wee taste of yesteryear. But yeah, no more. I just think, there's no point in. I mean, I quite enjoyed trying side by side with things before, with different Ugadals and stuff like that. But ultimately, I'm just not as patient anymore with doing that. I'm like, I'm going to just drink the whiskey.
I just don't trust my memory. I do have a sample of that Benro Mac Cask Strength 2010, because in my head, it's amazing. But I've got the 2012 and now the 2013, and I want to see how it all comes together.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting one. That make a good wee flight, Rob. Try them side by side after a certain amount of years, or. But yeah, I don't do it anymore. But just let the whiskey do its thing and take it to the bottle bank. But I'll try and make this Imperial last for a few years anyway. I'm gonna say that now. I'm looking at it thinking, there's no chance. There's no chance. Be gone by the summer. Time this podcast comes out, it's gone.
Roy, what's? Yeah. We'll check in on the next recording, the next episode.
Okay,
Scott.
Do that.
Roy, what's in your glass? What's the dram of note in the last little while?
Well, it's kind of it's nice to be inventive and come up with really creative left field things, and I've got this, and And it's especially nice if you can do it in an affordable and available way. But no, a bit like my Colburn 26-year-old of last week, I'm going to use a brag bottle again. But look what I was able to get.
Wow.
Oh, he's holding up liquid gold.
I'm holding up 2024 Springbank Local Barley 13-year-old. Now, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I don't get involved in scrums and I don't chase bottles and that kind of thing. But there are bottles out there that I really want to chase and I really want to have and I really want to get. Peter Lee calls me up from Springbank. He messages me to say, sorry, I can't get a local barley for you, but would you like one of these? And I managed to get a wee cage bottle from Peter. What a star, what a superstar. Sid Martin, the next day, I'm in Campbelltown, Roy. I'm here with my son. I've bought myself a local barley. My son's got an opportunity to buy one too. Would you like his? Would I ever? I have never transferred money from one account to another as quickly before. I mean, just amazing consideration. So a huge shout out to Sid. Sid Martin. He does a lot for the community. Sid does a lot of stuff that people don't see. He does. He's just a gentleman. Just one of these great spirits to have around. Barflies admin and things. Just a good guy. And I was very.
I saw.
Sorry.
I saw Sid's photo. I saw Sid's photo of the shelves, and it was rammed
local barley.
Of local barley. I couldn't believe it.
You just have to get there, and obviously it's one per customer, of course. But so you're going to travel a long way just to get one bottle for yourself, but occasionally you can kind of pull in a favour. I tell you, the next time that I'm down there and there's local barley on that shelf, the first person I'll be phoning to see if he wants a bottle is Sid Martin, of course.
Yeah, nice one. I tried that dram at a Springbank tasting.
Yes.
Earlier this month, and that was my dram. They gave us 7 drams actually, and that was for me the standout dram of the day. It was absolutely beautiful.
Well, we don't talk about Springbank on this podcast, if you remember.
We didn't last time, did we? We didn't mention them last time, so that's good.
We got through a season. I think we did get through a full season.
Here's the thing, that it's uncouth. Is it? I've managed to get myself a local barley. Is it me being show offy? Is it? I need to tell you that Sid put it into my hands at 11:30 on Saturday morning a couple of weeks ago, and by 12:30 I was in the Bon Accord, putting it behind the bar as my kind of bottle there. And you know that if you pay a wee fee at the Bon Accord, they'll keep a bottle for you to share with friends and whatever. And that's what I was doing. By 12:30, and about an hour after I'd picked it up, it was open, and I was able to share it with Rich Hall, and he was up there with his son Archie and his pal Glenn, and the 4 of us got together. Sid Martin and his son joined us a wee bit later, and the bottle took a pasting. Right, it was. I mean, I've had maybe 1 dram out of this, so we're not quite halfway. But we're less than 2/3, and it's just the pleasure of it. Everyone's sitting together and being able to, some of them haven't even held a bottle of local barley in their hands, so to just be getting poured a dram and they can batter in and have a second dram if they want, just great fun, just a great lunchtime.
Yeah, nice one, man.
It was an utterly inappropriate bottle of whiskey to pour in that context, because I could not focus fully on the conversation, sip by sip by sip. And here's why I think that is. I love to be positive about whiskey. I love evangelizing. I love to keep everything upbeat. But we're getting abused with finishing this and polishing that. And here's 5 in the same series, all with different rainbow colors of the same thing. And it's just like, you know what? The local barley, when you have to know, there's no other clues on the front label apart from the ABV and the age. You turn it around and they'll tell you what the grain is. And they'll tell you that it's 100% Campbelltown single malt. In this case, the grain is Belgravia barley. But this one, it turns out, is 60% bourbon and 40% sherry, which is pretty typical Scotty as a Springbank mix, right?
Yep.
But it's not always like that. Sometimes there's much more bourbon, sometimes a wee bit more sherry. It just is what they do is they just release it based on what they think is appropriate by blending it together and making the best whiskey they can. That I think that we're losing this a wee bit here. And it's really not fun to use Springbank as the torchlight every time, right? It's just not fair. It's not fair on them. It's not fair on the rest of the industry. But I think we need to focus a wee bit more on less variety and much more just quality, making the best thing that you possibly can. Scotty, I'm glad that you loved this as much as you've just mentioned that you did, because when I poured that, everyone felt silent.
Yeah.
Everyone feeling the same as me. Oh, just it's reverence. It's just like you just have to go. It's just bloody good whiskey, you know. At the point where I remember when local barley first came onto the market, at like 90 quid, I think it was pre-pandemic. People were like 90 quid for a 10, for an 11, whatever it was. Then they started to taste it, and they were like, "Aye, okay, forget about it. It's a completely different thing." What you're able to do is say it's nothing to do with age. It's nothing to do with the fact that it's Springbank. It's nothing to do with the fact that they've used local barley. This is just exceptional contemporary whiskey. Almost peerless. Almost peerless.
I tell you, it was interesting because at the tasting, the dram we had before that was the new 12 cask strength, which completely knocked my socks off. I thought it was really good. And then I had the local barley, and it just kicked the 12 into touch. It was just that good.
Well,
I mean, I've done many local barleys. I've had
Yeah.
a couple of local barleys back in the days where you could actually get them fairly easily. None of the kind of older ones. They're kind of like either 10 or 11, I think it was. So I've not that much experience with it. But that one you've got there, that 13-year-old Roy, is it's a proper whiskey.
It's just, and you know, it's depending on what you sip it in contrast with, maybe, but just depending on your own subjective take. The word robust and dense and flavorful and rich are valid. They're all valid descriptors, but also balanced and clean and bizarrely, you know, elegant even is valid as well. It's just an amazingly flexible. It's just let's wipe everything away. Let's just clean the sheet, clean the slate here. This is Scotch whiskey at 13 years old. Scotch whiskey at 13 years old, made in the right way, can taste like this. It is utterly peerless. You know, too much of the industry right now is focused on making appealing things rather than the best things. And I think if we are in a position now, which it seems we are in, where there is just too much of the stuff out there, too much variety, too much selection, and I don't want to put this on any individual producer's shoulders, but they're all at it right now. Everybody's trying to make everything for every possible convenience or sensibility. It's just they just need to focus on what they can do that's really bloody good, and make the best that they can. And if Springbank was to narrow it down to this and their 10-year-old, okay, and the 12 cask strength maybe, I think the world would still be it. But this is amazing that a 13-year-old Scotch whiskey in 2024 can come together like this and be just this bloody good. It's just like, why can't more things be like this? 54.1%. It drinks like 46. I kid you not. You at no point are you drawn towards cask flavor. Particularly, it doesn't pull you towards sherry or bourbon. It's lovely, right in the middle of it all. Just a fruit fest, a malt fest. Yes, there is a bit of a Springbank signature funk there. Of course, there is, but it's just £100, £100 to buy this bottle. If I had the opportunity to replace this now, I'd go into debt to do so.
You raise an interesting one, Roy, as you say, like, you know, essentially, why couldn't more things be like this? Would it cut through in the same way, and would we enjoy it as much if it was the norm?
Great
and
point.
There was more like it.
Special.
You know, I feel the same about. I wonder.
Great point.
I wonder.
I think that we will never get to a place where everything is on the same level. But I think if everybody strives to be this, then Springbank will be improving their game.
Yeah.
We'll always have variety. We'll always have a shift. But I think the base level, there's scope out there for the base level to be lifted. I just had put together. We're recording this podcast shortly after the VPub broadcast was leveraging the Six Nations Rugby Union Championship in order to pull together 6 nations of whiskey and have a wee fun challenge. I put my Scotch offering forward in that without tasting them together, confident that the Scotch would be a strong contender, and I wanted to have the ability to show off that it was also the cheapest. Let me tell you that when I sipped them together, the 6 drams, one from Italy, one from France, England, Wales, Ireland and Scotland, the Scotch was lost. I had to find it. I had to search for it and look for it. The quality of the whiskies that's coming from everywhere else right now, Scotland needs to focus on harnessing its hundreds of years of pedigree in order to make the best that it possibly can. Right now, it's just trying to make lots of stuff, and not all of it is sticking.
Who rallies that? Who's the torchbearer to say that? Is that what the SWA exists for?
No, I think it's the consumer, buddy. I really think it's the consumer. I think it's us. And I know that we're just geeks and whiskey botherers, and even at that, we're a sliver of that because we only exist in the Dramface space or the Aquaviti space or whatever it is. But we need to find the more tools that we can find to come together and feed back. Not what's commercially successful today, but what is being loved, what is being enjoyed, what has the potential to endure going forward.
I think that's an interesting point, and actually it might swing on to Gordon's bottle. We're talking about
Scott. You're crushing it. You are crushing being. I think it's co-host. We are. You're my co-host.
Honestly, I'm the worst. I'm slower than a week in the jail and worse than a man down, right? Don't ever forget that.
Carry on.
I thought
Carry on, though.
Gordon was talking before, not talking, kind of flashed up the bottle that he's going to talk about now. But just what you're saying, Roy, I think it kind of fits with a kind of juxtaposition about mass market compared to what Gordon's enjoying. So I'll hand it over to Gordon. And you can take it from here.
Oh, this is slick.
Slick. I've got a wee thing to say about that as well, because paying £90 and being disappointed is the worst feeling ever, because it's £90. But paying £90 and going, whoa, you soon forget about the £90.
Yep,
sure. And so if everybody strives to achieve quality whiskey, the price kind of doesn't really matter. Unless it's above £100 and then I'm out. But
Gordon, can I just add a layer to that as well?
Yes,
you said £90 and being disappointed is it's the lowest of the low, right?
Yep.
I once paid a silly amount of money for some snowboarding boots. Not only was I disappointed, I was in pain. That's another level, a whole nother level. Disappointed and in pain from the purchase.
Well, you really shouldn't go out to the nightclubs and snowboarding boots. You should just go
all the kids are
boots.
doing it. Sorry, Gordon. Carry on.
Well, it's kind of the inverse of that as well. So the bottle that I've chose is something that I've actively avoided because everyone else said it would be rubbish. I've never tried it. I've never wanted to try it because other people have swayed me. And then one night in the kind of dying embers of auction, I saw this and I thought, you know what? Stuff it. I'm going to do it. And so I put in a low ball and I won this for £46, including fees. So 40 quid final hammer. And it is blowing my socks off. Even tonight I'm pouring a small dram. It is light suit. I can't believe how good it is. Honestly, I've got a single cask Glenelgin, I've got the Geary, I've got an Old Pulteney, and this thing is just head and shoulders above all. And it's a Jura.
Dum, dum, dum.
So, I think
what?
I think I say this right. It's a Manzanilla. Manzanilla.
Manzanilla?
Yep. 13-year-old Jura from Cairn Heads. And it is just sensational.
What's the ABV?
57.1.
Hey.
I don't know the ins and outs of it, but it's a cask finish. but holy free holies, it is superb. And I'm so glad that I didn't ultimately bow to the stigma around something like that. And I've paid £46 and got a belter.
Yeah.
I am so happy about that compared to the other bottle that I bought for £75 and it was not worth the label it was on the bottle.
Yeah.
Permission to
Yes, sir.
interject.
Oh, God. I'm nervous suddenly.
One of the most pleasing things I get to hang out with you, Gordon, is your enthusiasm.
Thank you.
I love it. The way that you're just the way that it's not just like Rob and Gregor. Scotty and I have been maybe tuning things a wee bit longer, right? But I vicariously enjoy my whiskey journey through Rob and Gregor too. But you have a way of expressing it in a way that is literally kaleidoscope colours. It's fabulous.
Thank you.
We love it. We really love it. But it's hard for me to listen to you speaking sometimes and not say aye, but you just and tell you what the next step is going to be. Right? Because your next step maybe is not going to be the same as mine, and I don't want to kind of amplify or subdue your expectations, right? Just you need to go through it. The realization that it's not what the distillery makes, but it's what is put out to the market after they've made it.
Yes.
Are completely different things. Is something that you've just got to discover. And I can think of a no better distillery in order for you to discover that than I lived of Jura. To be at Jura now, four of us on the five that's in this podcast tonight were at Jura in 2022 together. It is one of the most attractive distilleries. There's big industrial buildings and things behind it and adjacent, but the actual the setting, the distillery itself, and where it sits on the shore there, the bright white, the big black lettering, everything is in place. But it's in the middle of a wee community that is just so seductive. There's a hotel with a pub and a bar. There's a wee shop. There's a wee sandwich bar restaurant thing up, and it's got a wee mezzanine bit that Scotty booked us a table for and was raging that we went off to play football down in the bar.
I just wanted to interject. I wasn't raging you were playing football because I was playing football that day too. What I was raging about was that I'd booked the table and you lot were in the distillery.
That's right.
Tannin Jura. And I couldn't get you out of the place to come and have your food. So
yep, sorry, Scotty, you were looking after
Your
us.
tease out.
What a day!
Your tease out.
Tease out. Yeah, but it was a lovely sunny day as well. Everybody was just, all of us, just happy, just really a blissful wee day. And there's Rob saying, "No, I don't like football. I don't play football." He's running up and down the park, right?
My hands in my pockets.
Hands in his pockets, right? But just joining in and just a great day. And say it about Bamore, say it about Auchentoshan, say it about, I could just go on and on and on. Sorry, I'm picking on distilleries now. But what we find is that when people learn to love them, it is never through the official bottlings. It's through indies. And indies make us realize what they're actually making, whereas what they're trying to put together in order to be mass market appealing, to something that they can sell in bulk and make potentially razor thin margins on, but it doesn't matter because they sell it by the millions of cases through multiples. That is it means that they're going to have to force that whiskey into a shape that it shouldn't probably be in. And that's what's happened with Jura. Jura make really, really interesting, good quality Scotch whiskey. What Jura put out there on the market, to be polite, is hit and miss.
What a crying shame.
And just to witness you discovering that and just being so expressive about it was a pure joy. A pure joy.
Yeah, that's brilliant, man.
What a crying shame that is, isn't it? To think that these people are working hard to produce whiskey that is unbelievably engaging, and then it goes through a bunch of filters and pipes and hoppers, and it comes out rubbish.
utterly shite and utterly profitable.
Yeah.
The biggest selling single Scotch malt whiskey in the UK, and a major success story.
Absolutely, but it's still not.
So how do you bring resolution to that? You
I
know,
know it's a tension I wish I had. Where people were buying it regardless of how good it was. But
yeah,
I'm so thankful to have discovered Jura for the first time with
Yeah.
an absolute belter.
Yeah, and it'll also open your eyes as well going forward, Gordon. If you
Yeah.
are an auction,
Yep.
you know,
I'll be open to
you might-
Jura.
Yeah, totally. And Roy mentioned Boatmore and Auchentoshan. I think the first time I tried an Auchentoshan from an indie was a Douglas Lane Auchentoshan, and it was brilliant. It was just an absolutely just a delicious dram. It was cracking, and just kind of knocked everything I've tried before. Now I've not tried a lot of Auchentoshan. I've tried some, but this was fantastic. And we've talked about Boatmore before. I've certainly talked about it. If as much as I love Lagavulin, when Bomore's done right, it's hard to beat. It's hard to beat.
Come on.
And so sometimes you have to kind of skirt around the indies to try and get to the core of it, to get to the essence of it. But I think it's really interesting. You've picked that bottle up all in for 46 quid. You've found something that's engaging, that you're loving. And next time the auction, you're going to be searching for a Jura, and you're going to have, check it out and see what else you can find as well. And I think that's great because, yeah, some distilleries get a bad rap for good or ill. I mean, some of it's unfair, I think, sometimes, but if you can, I remember someone saying to me, this is years ago, that the Kilkerran 8, when it first came out, the bourbon cask Kilkerran 8, someone said, it's all right, it's not that good, I wouldn't buy it again. And I was like, oh, that's unusual. And I had a bottle, but I hadn't opened it. And I thought, well, someone said it wasn't very good. And I opened it, and I thought, my Jesus Christ, it's amazing. So you're right, though. It's sometimes good to just try things yourself. And if you can get things for a good price, and just go for it. Take a punt on something and see what you get. Because, and that we were talking before about me drinking some sherry cask stuff, and I usually try and avoid it. But I can be totally surprised and delighted when I find something that hits my palate. I think, yeah, do you know what? I've actually kind of been missing out on that kind of stuff. So yeah, more power to you, Gordon, for taking a shot on it and enjoying it, man.
I just feel lucky, sometimes, a lot of the time you take a punt and it's like, oh, never mind. But this time, for some reason, it's just, out the park. And it's funny because I often, I don't worry, but I just question, where, if I am actually, enjoying it because it's good or because it just works for me. But as soon as I started posting up photos of this bottle, people were going, that is a belter. And it's reassuring that, I'm not just on the spectrum somewhere.
It's good, man.
But it's also reassuring that all of us are on the spectrum somewhere.
Yeah, it's so surprising.
And that's okay.
I think in Jura's case especially, they are the butt of the joke all the time, as long as it's not Jura. And that makes me a wee bit sympathetic because I'm kind of an empath at heart. And when I had the chance, I thought, I'm going to try this and see if it is. And when it is so surprisingly that it's the opposite of what you expect, it is even better because you're like, whoa, we're off to the races.
Yeah,
it's been a really good experience for me. And like you say, if I have a chance to try other Jura, maybe not from Jura OB, then I'll be jumping at it because it might be as good as this experience. Whereas before, if I hadn't tried it, I'd be like, oh, no, I'll find something else. Yeah, good.
Nice one.
Amazing
stuff. That's great.
No, good drams and good updates via drams over the last little while. Maybe swinging round to updates on all things Dramface. It's been a busy old time. A milestone was hit recently.
Amazing. I think the most amazing thing is that we've only hit 2 years.
I thought we were 3 years old.
Yeah, does that make sense to more people than just me? Is it my age? It's where I don't know what it is. It's the way that I measure time or feel time or whatever. But it's 2 years. We hit 2 years on February 17th, and we didn't. I think when we hit our first year anniversary, we made a bit of a fuss, and we wanted to celebrate, stats and how much we'd been embraced and things. We wanted to strut a little bit and show that we're here. we're going to stay. We're enjoying this. In the back of your mind, there's always this wee spectre going, ooh, this is not going to last forever. You will plateau and then you'll decline and decay and so you're always kind of like, you said, you like to say this word, Gregor, to be mindful, to be present, and to just appreciate that things are going well. Well, we get to our second year, every single week in 2024. If you take all those weeks and look at them, they are all our best weeks ever. Every single one. And it doesn't matter how you measure it. You measure it by comments, interaction, likes, measure it by reads, page views, unique visits. It doesn't matter what metric you use to measure it. It's our best. Where is this coming from? How is this happening? How is it? It's because we have people who are jazzed and enthused and excited and feel privileged and but at the same time, we've got things that are bothering us, things that we want to get off our chests and experiences that we're having. And we're just day by day just taking these opportunities to do this thing. And I can't believe it. There's obviously we work under an alias, which is a wee bit frustrating at times because you want to talk about, but I've started to be approached by people who you'd be really surprised that they would have anything to do with Dramface, but they're stepping forward to say, we love what you're doing. This is very, very cool. How can I get involved? How can we work together? How can it? And I'm just like, right, collaborate, just let's, what have you got to say? What have you got to, and then they understand who the team are and how the team have come together and how, is it inappropriate to use the word organic? I think it's not. I think it is an organic thing. So Rob, I'll hand over to you because you probably study the numbers a wee bit more. You handle the technical side of it and things. But I remember when we launched, we were all excited and going, it's insane, it's amazing. But where we are now, we're on this really, really kind of tall tower looking down on the foundations of where we started. It's stratospheric. I think I put it in the writer's chat and somebody said it's like a rocket ship. The rate of engagement. What's amazing to me though is that we do go out into, sorry, I'll hand over to you, Rob, but we go out into these other communities and other spaces who have never heard of Dramface, and that's really encouraging because it shows that we've still got room to grow a wee bit more, I hope. But it's been amazing.
It really has, and like you say, it does feel like a rocket ship, especially in 2024. We've had such a massive climb in readership and engagement. I think has been a big thing for us. I think the fact that people are familiar with the writers, they're more comfortable, and they kind of Dramface. If it's not too brazen to say, it's almost become like part of their routine, their whiskey routine of how they consume. It's not like it's I'm reading the paper, kind of catching up. It's like the catching up on with us and how we're getting on and how we're reacting to the whiskey verse and how new bottles are coming out and stuff. And it's lovely to have that kind of interaction with other people in a different kind of lens, rather than it being like screaming at the monitor or be like, this is awful, this is amazing. It's just like it's like a diary for some people. The way I read it, at least, it's like it's quite voyeuristic and like people I've moved house, or I've gone on holiday, or I've gone to see family, and we drank this, and it was really nice. And I'm like, that's beautiful. And
you're not really encouraged by your comment section too. I mean, that's not typical. YouTube, Instagram, those kind of environments have really interactive comments sections and dialogues under them. But the web space, not typically. We spent a chunk of money to put that comment section in, Rob. I'll always the rest of my Dramface life is always just going to be doffing my cap to Rob. the things that you're able to, but we put it in, and people chat, people talk, people express. Some days it catches fire, other days it's just like kind of polite banter and nice day, isn't it, type stuff. But other days it just goes nuts, and that's not typical in the web space. It was the right thing to do.
In that context, when you say, like, so if I heard out of context, oh, the comments are nuts, you'd think like it's all very short, Twittery kind of like, oh, this is amazing. Oh, I love this. Oh, it's fantastic. Like, it's like people sit and also type. Yeah, they tell stories. Yeah, they treat it as a diary entry, and they kind of like, oh, that was amazing. That takes me back. Or
they don't just shout an opinion from the rooftops. They take time to express and justify.
It's not
why
like that.
They have such an opinion. Yeah,
it's not like we're sitting in the House of Lords or a political kind of debate. It's just like chat, it's conversation.
I love it. I think it's the measure of engagement and how valid everything is. Quite honestly, I think I've talked before. I'll often read a comment first. I'll often scroll and see, both in Dramface but generally in consuming media. I'm often quickly reading the comments to get a quick litmus test on what I'm about to read.
Yeah. YouTube, right?
Yeah.
I think as well, just to say that, Roy, you used the word organic, and I think that we're ranking pretty highly in Google as well. So we're bringing people in, not just
if you type in whiskey review or whiskey reviews, that's right. It depends on where you are, but if you're in Europe, probably we'll bounce up in the first couple of results. Yeah.
In the UK, where Dramface is the second for whiskey reviews, ranking second behind Whiskey Base, ahead of Master and Malt, etc. Right. So it's one of these things where we have members, we have dedicated readers, but we're also pulling in organic traffic from searches as well. So
Rob's got a term for this. What is it, Rob? It's the organic white hat.
White hat. It's real. It's real people. It's not paid links. You're not kind of forcing people's hands.
Yeah.
It's like no paid sponsorships, no paid ads. It's just
and the paid, if you search for like the sponsored sites, they're all the top 4 on Google are sponsored, and then there's Whiskey Base and then there's Dramface. So and I think the fact I see it in my own day-to-day job, that organic traffic is such an important driver as well. The fact that we can rank after a couple of years, and it goes down to the not only the quality of the writing, but also the frequency of the articles as well. Nothing stays still. It's always changing. It's always morphing. And that's another thing, which is great, because it's not like you have to go back 4 days later and there's nothing new in the site or whatever. It's constantly changing with interesting, well-written articles. So it's been amazing to see its rise over the last 2 years. It's hard to believe it's been 2 years since it all kicked off, and I think it's now become it's cementing itself as a place to be. As part of we're all part of the Dramface team. I don't want to blow the trumpet too much, but for me, just reading things in the morning is a joy, because you're going to get something different, and it's just lovely to see the fact it's found an audience, it's found a footing, and it's doing really well.
I hope people forgive us that we take this wee moment out in the podcast, because they need to understand the context. We are not normally socializing together in this kind of way and celebrating what's been achieved on Dramface. So in order to get together in a situation like this and talk at length about this is really quite nice to do, because we don't get a chance to do that. So forgive us, and it's, as Scotty said, blowing our own trumpet and things. But
can I just on that vein of blowing trumpets, and like, I think I'm right in saying, Roy, that obviously we are now talking about, it's 2 years, and you kind of, and let's look at the charts, let's look at the numbers. That is not a focus. That is rarely spoken about.
It's incidental. We just don't care. That's right. It's almost like, if we do what we love, and we go first foot forward with that, then the numbers will just take care of themselves.
And I say from experience of Roy telling me off for trying to put my marketing hat on and be like, it's like what is it, Wayne's World? Like, just build it and they will come. Like,
I
I'll just
think you'll find that's Field of Dreams, and that
Oh.
is the
Oh, you just stepped on a
And
booby trap
that
there.
is
I know it.
the greatest movie ever made, right?
It's
so
brilliant.
I appreciate
It's
you
about-
putting a Field of Dreams
About
reference in
one
the
of the
podcast.
worst sports ever made.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, let's draw our host back from the.
Absolutely
Keep going,
ridiculous.
Rob. Keep
No,
going, Rob.
you said sports, and I just like I'm stumbling now. I don't know what to say.
Rob
Yeah.
glitched.
Sports? What's outside?
I know. Well, so I need to be careful with what I'm about to, where I'm going to go with this, because it could be seen as insensitive to sort of like talk about our successes and Dramface's successes, and then talk about Malt putting themselves on ice. And I only go there because it's a topic of where I'm going to get to is the topic of like what's maintaining the energy and the passion and the drive of Dramface. Because when I read what Malt have said of putting themselves on ice, I took away that there's been a lull of passion and you know they've lost the wind in their sails, and I lament any whiskey passionate site person,
Yep.
you know, entity losing momentum. And it's a topic I did want to kick around. And I know, Gordon, you talked at length about at one point you weren't writing as much, right? And like coming back into the fold and maybe re-engaging a little more. So I'm just curious then, as a team, how do you maintain that passion? Because it does lull, right? The whiskey energy, it's not always at 100%, and you do need to give yourself space. And so how do you maintain that healthy energy and passion and ensure that the wind is in the sails enough to keep the ship going?
Fresh blood. 100%. New people. New people with new angles. I think I can only speak personally from my trajectory into whiskey, but I've come at this from a kind of green, very green side and kind of tried to vocalize or visualize my journey through words. But I'm now I've done all the kind of newbie stuff and I'm onto the more mature kind of phase of my journey. And if nobody comes up the rear going, "Isn't whiskey brilliant? Oh my God, I don't know. I never realized it was this good." Then suddenly you have this cache of people who are all just like, yeah, been there and done it and got a t-shirt. So you need that influx of new people going, whoa. And not only do they bring the energy, but they bring new things to your eyes that you might have missed because you're so used to things just being how they are.
Yeah, absolutely. I think from my point of view, I think it's I hope Malt comes back. I know it's on ice. I hope it comes back. Been a Patreon subscriber to Malt before. Always enjoyed their content. I think whether or not it's difficult. I think it's difficult to keep. I mean, like even I work in music, and people say, "Oh, it must be great." Like any job, it then becomes a bit of a chore at times, right? And it's the same with, I mentioned before about my wee blog that I had years ago, and I just stopped it because I thought I'm not enjoying my whiskey anymore. I'm taking I'm tasting whiskey is more like a job, and I became really jaded about it. And that's the thing. And I think what you say, Gordon, is true. If you get fresh blood, more enthusiasm coming through, and that might happen again with Malt, and I hope it does come back because it's been an incredibly useful resource for me personally through the years.
Absolutely.
And I wish the team all the best, and I hope they come back, because I think that Malt being on the landscape is a they've made a name for themselves, and I hope that they come back. I hope this is a temporary
Malt
blip and they come
not
back.
being on the landscape is a disaster.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
tell you what was telling. The most telling thing about this is not the way I felt about it when I read that article. I was genuinely sad and upset, and they are our peers. There's not many opinionated independent voices like that. But in our writers chat, the Dramface writers chat, where anything goes, nothing's off limits. We just shoot our mouths off. When the word came that Malt was Malt on the Rocks was the article. Somebody posted in a link, said, "Bad news, boys." You would imagine that under normal circumstances there would be gloating or something. That I imagine there are people out there that imagine that we were somehow a competitor or something. But I'll ask you. I'll put it over to you guys. Just spur them. What was the sentiment in the writers'
Sadness.
chat?
Absolutely.
Pure sadness.
Yep.
Yeah.
I've not been like Scotty or Roy or anybody else. I didn't grow up with or grow into whiskey through malt. I didn't really engage with malt at all. So I took quite an indifferent perspective because I didn't ever frequent. But I could sense the palpable sadness in the room. Like, oh, what? It was quite visceral.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think. Sorry, I think for me as well. I think it's so important to have independent voices who are giving honest appraisals of whiskey, rather than getting fed the market and stuff from big distillers or whatever. We need these voices, It's so important. I know there's a lot of independent voices on YouTube, for example, but the written word, it's still so important to have that, And
Well, we've discovered how hard it is to build it.
yeah, totally.
That's why it's rare.
And they're
It's-
respected, and as I say, I really do hope they come back, and maybe maybe they need some time out to try and reevaluate, but I hope they come back because it's important that they are there, So yeah, and I wish the team the best as well. It's always been a great
Well, let
resource.
me
as I
say
said
this
for myself.
publicly. I mean, I can edit this out if it's not appropriate, but let me say this. If there is someone out there, and if the structure, and if the feeling, and if the opportunity is all conducive, that somebody can step forward to breathe new life into malt and to make it, to stand it back up on its feet and to give it, because they all admitted that they were just fed up. They'd run out of energy. It wasn't any crucial, critical fallout or disaster. It was just the fact that, they were appreciative that it takes energy and passion to keep it going, and their lives had moved on. So if there's somebody else that's willing to step into malt, to breathe new life into it, they would have. I mean, we're not the same scale as malt. The heights that malt achieved, we aspire to that. But if somebody steps forward to reignite malt in some way, they have our support.
Of course.
Would you?
Of course, absolutely.
We would actively encourage that.
It feels like where the indie band and the band that inspired us broke up. Like for me, I kind of slowed. When I came on the team, Dramface team, it was during lockdown, or just after lockdown, and I was at home or watching much more video content. So the kind of slower pace, sit down reading of the articles, it kind of went away in my kind of like day to day. And I kind of forgot I did that. And then when I found out Malt had gone, it was kind of, I had a nostalgia burst of like, oh my god, I used to read Malt every single day on the train to work, and then that's gone. That kind of.
I also think it's interesting. We're coming from a website that's not video related, and I think that the thing is, obviously, video is the thing to a certain extent, and I'm obviously grown up working in magazines and newspapers and websites, and I still really put a lot of faith in, or a lot of kudos into the written word. I think it's so important. It might not be as immediate as quick-fire videos, but we've shown with Dramface that it's popular. People want to read that kind of stuff, and the same thing with Malt. People want to read that content, and we saw that on social media. People reacting to Malt, the news with Malt. People reacted immediately to it because it has a place in people's hearts. It's a place where people went on their morning commute or whatever. But yeah, maybe someone will come in, someone new, keep the same ethos behind it. That's the important thing, having that independent voice as well. So yeah, good luck to them.
And good to kick the conversation around. I think I take your point, Gordon, about the newness and new blood in. I think Rob, one of the most fun new things that Dramface have done was the top 40. Was it top 40? The vote.
Mm-hmm.
And I just loved it. So maybe explain to me how that came around and kind of manifested.
From my point of view,
Yeah.
Well, it's funny actually. That page has been built for a long time. I think it was obviously it kind of was initiated obviously by the VPub and the kind of like that when that first happened, and we took that. Well, I took the data. Roy shared the data with me, and I just started building it, and it kind of sat for a little bit, like just in the background, like on the back burner, as kind of it went on, and then it just suddenly kicked up back off again, and just I would never really expected it to kick back off in such a big way, and how many people so we kind of set ourselves a goal of it was a reset. I thought it was going to be an addition, like we'd add on to what had the VPub audience had contributed, but it was a flat start from the beginning, and it was 2 days, maybe less, Roy, that we got 1,000 people voting, so then we could relaunch it again under Dramface, and that in of itself is amazing. To say it's just been, from my point of view anyway, just I built this page and then it just sat there for such a long time, for then just to rise again with such ferocity. And, yeah,
timing.
I thought I was pretty good at pitching things and explaining myself and all of this stuff, and I thought I was good. And I remember recording the Dramface podcast in season 2 and suggesting to you, Gregor, that we talk about this top 40 thing, and we just kicked it. We just bumped it down to the next one, and we never ever got round to talking about it. And I don't think that was because we didn't want to talk about it. I think it was just because maybe the weight of what it actually could be wasn't widely understood. And I don't mean in a Dramface, the success of Dramface type way. I mean in a way in order to give feedback to anybody who cares, whether they're in the industry or the community, whether they're a punter or a blender. It doesn't matter. Anybody that gives a shit has another metric now that they can look at to try and understand not what's selling, not what's successful, not what's profitable, but what people are loving. That's all we care about. It was amazing that there was a comment in the writers' chat. Somebody come on saying, "It's dawned on me now." Was that you, Gordon?
That was me, aye.
Oh, it was you. It was you. Sorry.
Aye.
Aye.
Well, I think what I missed was that it's fluid. I think when it was sitting on Dramface for quite a while, it was quite static. Like, here it is. It's like a statement. There it is. This is the top 40 distilleries. But then when I logged on the other day, I saw these little icons. I was like, oh, there's wee icons like up and down and stars and remains. And I was like, hang on a minute. This is a fluid thing where if a distillery does an absolute howler, it will be reflected in
the community will punish it.
Yeah. It's a fluid thing, and I suddenly grasped the gravity of what this was. Like, this is a live, organic thing that can grow and change week to week, depending on how people are operating and conducting themselves in the industry.
Yeah,
fantastic.
I love it. It's like the stock market, right? It's like it's
up
great.
and down, off we go.
Yeah, I think it's really encouraging. Looking through the top 40 as well, about who we've got in there. It's for me, it's just fascinating to see, how what's moved up, what's moved down, what's out the top 40. But it's also really encouraging for me to see things like Glencadam in there. That distillery, just one of many which people have just started to talk about maybe the last 12 to 18 months or so. But they're in there as well, and it's really nice to see that they're getting recognised. Well, same with Loch Lomond as well, obviously.
Glengarry's in there.
Yeah, absolutely. And Ben Rinnes, Ben Rinnes. I know Ben Rinnes are hanging on.
How many times have you been clicking that, Gordon, to get Glengarry in there? How many burner accounts are you making?
We don't talk about that.
Yeah, but I think it's just an interesting as you say, it's fluid, but it's nice to see where perception is about certain distilleries. And it's funny, like, you know, we talked before about Clynelish being one of my favourites, but I've not bought, you know, an official Clynelish for a while. But it's still there. People are still enjoying it.
It actually
And,
climbed 2 spaces.
yeah,
crazy.
and there's things in there that I've not bought a bottle of for such a long time. You know, Daft Mill's in there. You know, it's great as well. I mean, you know how rare it is to get a bottle of Daft Mill. But I just think
So is it
it's
updating? Sorry.
no, I was going to say I think it's just for me having a snapshot of what's kicking around. You know, Craig Ellicky, Glenallachie, you know, kicking around in there as well. Just nice to see what people are engaged with and what they're enjoying. You know, it's quite a nice thing because otherwise we just talk about things and we don't really see behind the scenes what people are really enjoying. And this is a way that we can actually share it with everybody what people are into.
I think it's important to think it's consensus as well. It's not like we've all gone, Springbank is the best distillery. We all agree that it is the number one. It's just that the majority of people like or consider Springbank or Bunnahabhain or Bruichladdich in their top 10.
Yeah.
And it's nice to see like Geary and Daft Mill and Dornoch kind of now be included in people consider that to be in their top 10. Not necessarily saying like, oh, Dornoch is my number one or it is my number 10, but it's in there.
And I think the spotlight moves, you know, and it always has done. The spotlight moves, and it's been fixated in Springbank for such a long time. But it will move away from there, and other distilleries will have their moment to shine as well. But yeah, I just think it's really encouraging to see because, like, I'm probably guilty as much as anybody of not engaging with some whiskies that I enjoyed before. I've not had Highland Park for a while. I should maybe revisit that. You know, it just puts it back in my mind again as well that I should really pick up a bottle of something, you know, soon because people are drinking Highland Park and enjoying it, etc. You know.
And you finished that full volume.
Oh, that's a good bottle.
That's a great bottle. Great bottle.
I liken the top 40 a bit similarly to the Oswas, and in the same way when I watch a movie awards, right? So the Oscars or the Emmys, as much as I try and stay abreast of what's going on, I'm often using that as okay. That's the things I need to now go and watch. So it is a good shortcut to maybe, like you say, things that you've missed or your bias has blinded you to the other things that are going on. It's a good
100%. Yeah, it's kind of like
and just to kind of finish off on that because the reason that it was given from the VPub, the potential of the echo chamber thing, over to Dramface was to burst it out into a much wider audience. To make it, I mean, Dramface is not just one voice, where the VPub is one voice, or Aquavitae channel, right? But Dramface is, you know, a bit like Malt Maniacs 25 years ago. You know, it was a team of 20 voices or more. Well, Dramface is 20 voices and more today. So if we found it in that space and then ask everyone that reads a Dramface article for whatever reason to look at not what the top 40 is today, but what it could be tomorrow. Share it in the spaces where it's appropriate for them, where they know the audience have an opinion and preferences and experience in Scotch malt whiskey, then to get involved. And the more that they get involved in that top 40, the more valid it is. Dramface is just the host for that stuff, right? You don't need to read long-form whiskey review content that Dramface writes. You don't need to read our features. Gregor, you need to know about our new features. The blender files, it's just gone out superb. But it's just, you don't need to get into all of that. You can just literally drop into Dramface, leave your 10 votes, and bugger off again. So if you critique it, and if you say that it's flawed in some ways, are you finding the flaws because you have a better suggestion, or are you only finding flaws because it doesn't agree with you? Because it is actually a measure of the entire community. And when I say the entire community, I'm not just saying the Dramface readership. Anybody can drop in the way I've just described and leave. It's open to everyone.
Have we outlined what the next step is? And Because
we
it's not going to be
have
in 6 months. We're going to ask everybody again and update it. I can't remember if we spoke about this.
right. So here's my prediction on this. Okay. No, I should probably give you what my prediction was yesterday because it's changed today. My prediction yesterday was this is going to be very slow and it's going to be quite static, and it's going to be incentivized by people who are upset by the placings, and they're going to come in and want to change. Some of these positions are split by a single vote. I'm not kidding you. Ardbeg and Lefroy are exchanging blows daily. Bunnahabhain and Bruichladdich are exchanging blows and position daily. It's crazy. Depending on where we take the snapshot, the positions can move. But I imagined that what would happen is over a certain time it would start to solidify a little bit and settle.
Yeah.
However, today I disagree. I've looked at the stats earlier today and I feel like we could update it now and present a completely different top 10 and significant movements in the top 40 as well. But we're not going to do that. It's just starting. You know what these things are like. The grind is necessary. You need to grind it out. We need to let the concept dawn on people.
Yeah.
I imagine that what will happen now is that we take more frequent snapshots, but then as things settle and everybody understands what it is, we can start to take less frequent snapshots. Maybe not annual, but maybe 6 months or 3 months, quarterly, something like that. But right now, we're just all going to kind of watch how the movements are going and see.
Yeah,
and,
I think it needs
basically respond to the feedback. Let's tell. Rob and I took a snapshot at 1,050. Do you want me to tell you where it is today? I can tell you. We're at 1,300 votes now.
Okay.
So it's moving very, very fast. We took the snapshot at 1,000.
But I think the it's right to leave it for a bit, let it bed in, let it settle, let people get used to the idea and stuff like that as well. But I think it's also a nice reflection on what people are opening. So these bottles are getting opened and enjoyed for people to make an informed decision to vote about it, which is encouraging as well, because people, that's what it's all about.
But you want more people. You want more people to interact with it because you don't want that echo chamber. You don't want just the everyday the people who come to Dramface every single day getting involved, like people who disagree with the top 40 or newcomers or new whiskey drinkers. We want them to.
And I mean, where's
have a
Longmore?
voice.
Where's Longmore now? Everybody, hey, where is it? I'll tell you where it is. It's nowhere. Why? Because they're charging a fortune for a bottle.
They really are.
I love it. No, I love it. And also the distilleries love it. I know Ardnamurchan were quick to post up. They got the number 2 spot in the snapshot.
Crazy.
So good stuff. Good stuff.
Distillery that's celebrating. They haven't even reached their decade celebrations yet, and they're at number 2. That is surely people in the Scotch whisky industry's got to look at that and say, what?
Just before we get on to the IAAD distillery, that's an interesting point, because with so many, this is maybe a topic for another time, but with so many distilleries, who's buying a second bottle of things? This is the thing. What's going to survive and what's not? With Ardnamurchan at the moment, they're releasing great stuff, affordable stuff, and a variety of stuff as well, and it's taken hold. And I think when everything shakes out, some distilleries might just disappear. But I think Ardnamurchan, Touchwood, are going to still be around because they're doing things and it's engaging people. I often don't buy a second bottle of something. With Ardnamurchan, I do. I always pick up an AD. Whereas maybe another distillery, I might buy their inaugural or their second release, whatever it is, and then I'm just thinking, well, I enjoyed it, but there's not enough for me to go back. With Ardnamurchan, there's enough there to go for a repeat purchase. I'll take that one off you as well, Gregor.
Gregor holds up his. I don't even have one of those Ardnamurchan.
Well,
bottles.
as I say, again, we're talking before about Legfest, and Jim Jensen brought a bottle of that across to Glasgow, and we all had a chance to try that bottle, and it's like, that's a cracking Ardnamurchan.
It's a weird reversal where I've got a bottle of Scotch that is more sought after back home, right? Like I'm normally waiting for those waves, those ripples to last over here.
Well, it's great to see it open and half gubbed already as well.
Absolutely.
It's a belter.
Brilliant.
It's a belter. It's a funny one actually, because I remember. Right, we will get on to IAAD Distillery next, but I do remember feeling how it's a big punchy dram. It was when I first was drinking it, and Gordon and I think were sharing notes. Like,
Yeah.
it was. I did get the sherry. I got the sweetness, but it's funny. I was on another sherry dram and then went to it, and I was like, oh, this isn't sweet at all. All I'm getting is the peat. So it's funny to see how you're influenced by what you've had before, for sure.
Yeah,
It's a good
Belter.
bottle, man.
Anyway, rounding out with an IAAD Distillery, another community-sourced one, and I would say two members who are very active in the chat and definitely favourites of the community. I'll let you realise who it is. But as we go, 10 questions, shoot your shot when you think you can, and enjoy.
good
Okay,
luck,
let's go.
everyone.
Hi, Dramfaces. Hells and Andy here again with another I'm a Distillery. This one gets easier towards the end. Honest.
Fact 1. I'm a distillery.
Fact 2. I was founded and building started on me in 1958.
Oh.
1958.
Correct.
Wow.
Right.
Okay.
Fact 3. I have 4 pairs of stills.
4 pairs of
4
stills.
pairs.
Wow. Big.
Fact 4. I have 11 washbacks.
11 washbacks.
This is not making it easier. Thanks, Hells.
Number 5. My capacity is in the region of 5 million litres per annum.
Oh.
So it's still running.
No guessing?
No.
We're at the halfway mark.
Oh,
I'm holding
Right.
my water. I'm holding
I
my
might- I
water.
might hear one more. I'm going to go for it. And it's probably let's go.
Fact 6. There is a time capsule in the shape of a still buried on my grounds.
Oh, what? That rings a
Glenn
bell.
Keith.
Oh.
Scotty shot his shot.
Yep.
Slap
Right,
shot.
next one.
Wide.
Fact 7. I am one of, if not the most unusual looking distilleries in Scotland.
Oh no! I know what it is now. I know what it is.
Holding.
Gordo.
What?
All right. There you go. Next.
Fact 8. Official bottlings consist of a 14-year-old and a 16-year-old.
14 and
Tormore.
16. Oh,
What was that, Gordon?
nothing.
Fact 9.
I've
I
no
am
idea.
now owned by Elixir.
Come on, guys,
I
come on.
knew it. That was the
Come
one
on.
that Julie was talking about.
Someone
It looks
say it.
like a big.
I've said it. I've said it.
Oh, did you?
I said it
Aye.
last time.
Oh,
Did anyone
sorry.
else hear me? No.
I heard you.
I thought that was Gordon that said that.
I did say that. Yep, it was 100%. It was me. It was me.
All right, here you go.
Fact 10. I am Tomor.
Well done.
Nice one. Well done.
Thanks very
Well
much.
Thank you,
That
Hells
was
and
a
Andy.
tough one. That was fantastic.
Helen and Andy, superstars.
This one looks
Superstars.
like a factory. It's like got a kind of really.
Yeah.
It's all the topiary outside it as well. All the
Aye.
unusual.
I think
It looks
it's,
a bit-
I think it's attractive. I like it. And
It's
you know
got-
what? Another reason, maybe it's a wee bit of kind of warm fuzzy feeling because when you drive up that road at the A7, I can't remember what it is. But that's you arriving.
That's you in
at
the space side. Yeah,
Yeah.
you pass it on the way there. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's it's a great. Some of the whiskey again, independent bottles are Tormore are sparklers, really understated distillery, and I think now with Elixir buying it, it'll have its proper chance to shine. So good luck.
I
to them.
agree. But you've got to say it looks like a waterworks building or like a it doesn't
Hydroelectric
look-
plant.
Yeah.
I quite like
It's-
it. It's got a charm.
I love
to
it.
man.
Yeah, I love it.
I like it. I
I
like
didn't-
it.
I
But
didn't say it's a
they
bad
will need.
thing.
They will need time. They've inherited warehouses full of vanilla. I imagine, right?
How
So they're
dare
going to
you.
need time to kind of do something with the stocks they've inherited, and also work out what they're actually going to distill going forward. I guarantee you, it will not resemble what has
Yeah.
been distilled in the past.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
But it's good. I mean, if you can get a nice indie bottle of Turmore for 21 plus, it's fantastic stuff. Really good. But yeah, nice one.
Well done, Roy. You might chalk another one up on that tally that's
Aye.
growing.
Well, I suppose what I need to do is to start proposing them more. Then I can win the ones I propose.
I think that's a great idea. I looked through the list of who the authors were, and when we were doing them more often I seem to think I think there was quite a few that were me. So I'm happy to be off hire now. But if you want to
I
suggest
think,
one,
to be fair, if you mention Springbank in a podcast, you get an immediate red card and miss the next podcast. So you can't vote.
I
You
think
can't
I
have
think
a Iowa Distillery vote.
it's not a bad idea.
Or
if you've got-
the distilleries that are doing it right, yeah.
Or if you've got a local barley, you don't get to join the next one.
That's perfect.
Fair enough.
Gentlemen, it's been an absolute pleasure. Listeners,
Yeah, it really
thank
has.
you for indulging us, and I hope we gave you something close to entertaining. So cheers all, and we'll see you in the next one.
Thanks for having us, Gregor.
Here's
Thank
everybody.
you.
All the best.
Loved it. See, that's the V-pop tune.
Right, dudes, I'm going to have to bolt right now because I need to go and take the dog out. Otherwise, he's going to piss the floor. So. I'm drinking here.